ran my fingers across the shelf where my favorite toy usually sat. The spot was empty, like something had been stolen from me. "Mom," I called, my voice sharper than I meant. "Where's my car?" "My red one." She looked up from the kitchen sink, drying her hands. "What car, honey?" "My remote control car. The one Dad gave me." My chest tightened as I scanned the shelves again. It was right here. Henry, leaning back in the armchair with a smug grin, answered before she could. "I sold it." I froze. "What? You don't use those toys anymore," he said, casually, scrolling on his phone. "Better to put them to good use." Nolan needed an iPad for school. I felt heat rise in my chest. You sold it without asking me?" Nolan strolled in, grinning as he held the new iPad like a trophy. "Thanks, Dad. This thing is awesome. Way better than a stupid car with cheap plastic wheels." My hands balled into fists. It wasn't just a toy. It was mine. Henry didn't even look up. "You're too old to cling to junk. Be grateful it went to something useful. Nolan will actually benefit from it." I stepped closer, my voice shaking. "That car, it was from my dad, my real dad. It's the only thing I had left of him." Nolan snickered. "Guess not anymore." He waved the iPad in front of me, tilting it like he was showing off a prize. "Check this out, Andrew. Way cooler than some old car." "Stop it, Nolan," I snapped. "Or what?" He shot back, smirking. "You gonna cry over your little toy?" "Enough," Mom said finally, her voice low but trembling. She glanced at Henry. "You should have told me before doing that," Henry scoffed. "It's my house. I don't need permission to clean up clutter." I stared at him, my throat burning. "Clutter? You think my memories are clutter?" "Don't be dramatic," Henry muttered, setting his phone aside. "You'll live without it. Kids lose toys all the time. It builds character." "It wasn't just a toy," I whispered, my voice breaking despite myself. For a moment, silence filled the room. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the faint tapping of Nolan on his new screen. My chest felt hollow. "Andrew," Mom said softly, stepping closer. We'll find something else." "Okay." I shook my head. "You don't get it," Nolan chuckled. "He's acting like someone died." I turned on him, anger sparking through my grief. "Shut up, Nolan." Henry's eyes narrowed. "Watch your mouth. He's your brother now." "He's not my brother," I shouted, the words spilling before I could stop them. The air in the room went thick. Mom's face crumpled, torn between us. Henry leaned forward, his jaw tight. "You don't get to talk like that under my roof. You'll learn respect." Respect. The word tasted bitter on my tongue. Respect was something you earned, not something stolen along with everything you loved. Nolan smirked, sliding down onto the couch with his iPad glowing in his hands. "Face it, Andrew. Dad likes me more. That's why I get real stuff while you cling to junk." My fists trembled. I wanted to snatch the iPad from his hands, smash it, scream until the walls cracked. But all I did was stand there, silent, swallowing the fire in my chest. Mom reached for me, her voice small. "Andrew, please, don't make this worse." "Worse? How could it get worse?" My chest ached like something had been torn out. I backed away, my eyes fixed on the empty shelf. "He gave it to me before he..." My throat closed around the rest. I couldn't even finish the sentence. Henry folded his arms. "Grow up. Life's unfair. The sooner you learn that, the better." "Yeah," Nolan added, grinning wide. "Thanks for the car, Andrew." Even if I never saw it, I turned before they could see the tears building in my eyes. My room felt colder than usual when I shut the door. I sat on the floor, staring at my empty hands like the car might reappear if I wished hard enough. But it did in single quotes. T.it was gone like Dad was gone. And in that silence, I whispered to myself, my voice barely a breath, "They've taken more than toys. They've taken pieces of me." The clinking of forks against plates filled the silence. I pushed the food around with my spoon. No appetite left. Henry leaned back, his voice smug. You know, Nolan's already figuring out all the functions on that iPad. Smart kid, picks things up fast. Nolan grinned, tapping away. I downloaded 2 new games. Wanna see? He tilted the screen toward Henry. That's what I'm talking about, Henry said proudly. Using technology, not clinging to useless junk. I slammed my spoon down. It wasn't junk. Those toys were my dad's last gifts. The table went still. Mom froze, her hand halfway to her glass. Nolan smirked without looking up, and Henry raised an eyebrow, like he was waiting for me to explode. You don't understand, I said, my voice shaking. That car, those toys, they were all I had left of him, and you sold them like trash. Henry chuckled, slow and cruel. You'll thank me one day. Childhood attachments are just chains. I'm teaching you to move forward. That wasn't your choice to make. I snapped, my fists tight in my lap. You had no right. Nolan laughed. You're seriously still crying over a toy? Wow. Maybe you do need chains so you don't throw another tantrum. My stomach twisted. Shut up, Nolan, Andrew, Mom whispered, her voice soft but powerless. Please, let's just eat. I looked at her, hoping she'd defend me, but she lowered her eyes, silent. Henry leaned forward, stabbing a piece of meat with his fork. You think I'm the villain here? I put food on this table. I give Nolan and you both a roof over your heads. You don't get to scream at me for making smart decisions. Smart, I repeated, my voice rising. Selling off the only memories I had of my dad is smart to you? Memories don't live in objects, he said coolly. They live in your head. You're old enough to understand that. Nolan snickered. Guess your head's empty then, huh? I shot him a glare that could have burned through stone. One day you'll learn what it's like to lose something real. Then we'll see if you laugh. Oh, so scary, Nolan mocked, clutching his iPad to his chest like a prize. Don't break down, Andrew. I wouldn't want tears on the food. I turned to Mom again. You hear him? Are you really going to sit there and let them talk to me like this? Her lips parted, but Henry cut her off. Don't drag your mother into this. She's tired of your drama. She's my mom too. I shot back, heat rising in my throat, and I'm her husband. Henry snapped, his voice sharp now. What I say goes in this house. Nolan leaned back, smug. Better listen to Dad, Andrew. He knows best. Don't call him that, I growled, my voice low. He'll never be my dad. Henry smirked, leaning back in his chair. Say what you want. Time's on my side. You'll outgrow this childishness, and when you do, you'll realize I was right. No, I said, pushing my chair back with a screech. I'll never forgive you for this. Never. The silence after my words was heavier than the food sitting untouched on my plate. Mom looked at me with glassy eyes, but she said nothing, not a word. Nolan chuckled under his breath. Dramatic much? I didn't wait for more. I stormed out, the sound of my own footsteps pounding in my ears. When I reached my room, I slammed the door shut and pressed my back against it. My chest heaved, and my hands shook. I stared at the walls, at the shelf that once held the red car. Empty. Always empty now. They'll never understand. I whispered to myself. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. I climbed onto my bed, burying my face in my pillow. Rage and grief tangled inside me like thorns. They took everything from me, I muttered, and I swear, I'll never forgive them. Look at this, guys. Nolan shouted across the classroom, waving the iPad in the air like it was a trophy. Brand new, top of the line. My dad bought it for me. Some kids gathered around. Whoa, that's awesome, one said. Can you play games on it? Of course, Nolan smirked, swiping the screen. Unlike some people, I don't have to play with broken old toys. His eyes flicked to me, a sly grin spreading across his face. I clenched my jaw and looked away. Is it true? Another kid asked. Andrew doesn't even have one? Yep, Nolan said proudly. He's too poor. His stepdad said buying him stuff is a waste. Guess he's just not worth it. The laughter that followed cut deeper than any insult. I tightened my grip on my pencil until it nearly snapped. When class ended, a teacher stopped us in the hall. Nolan, you've been doing great with that iPad research project, she praised. Andrew, maybe you should learn from him. He's really applying himself. I opened my mouth, but the words stuck in my throat. Nolan smirked at me again, tilting the screen just enough so the teacher saw him typing. That night, I caught voices drifting from the kitchen. Henry's voice, low and sharp. He needs to man up, Henry said. All this sulking, all this whining, it's pathetic. Mom whispered back, her tone soft, trembling. He's just hurting. Those toys meant don't start. Henry cut her off. I won't raise a crybaby. If he can't toughen up, life's going to eat him alive. I froze in the hallway, fists trembling. Mom's voice fell even lower. I'll talk to him. I backed away before they noticed me. Later, in the hallway near my room, Mom found me sitting on the floor. She crouched down. Andrew, she whispered, glancing nervously toward the living room. I'm sorry. I didn't know he'd sell them. I tried then. Why don't you say that when he's there? My voice cracked. Why only whisper it when no one can hear? Tears welled in her eyes. Please, don't make me choose sides. You already did, I whispered, pushing past her into my room. The next morning at breakfast, Henry sat at the head of the table, Nolan beside him, laughing at something on the iPad. Hey, Andrew, Nolan said between bites. Want me to teach you how to use this? Oh wait, you don't even have one. Henry chuckled. Don't rub it in, Nolan. His eyes landed on me. Though maybe it's good motivation. If Andrew worked harder, maybe he'd earn something for once. Mom kept her head down, stirring her coffee. Not a word, not even a glance. I stared at the empty plate in front of me. You think I don't work hard? My voice shook, but I forced it out. Henry smirked. Whining isn't work. Moping isn't effort. Step up, or get left behind. Nolan laughed, tapping the screen. Left behind's a specialty. I shoved my chair back, the legs screeching against the floor. I'm not the one who needs to change. You are. Henry narrowed his eyes. Watch your tone. No, I snapped, my hands trembling. You can sell my things, you can mock me, but you'll never take who I am. Never. For a moment, the air froze. Henry's jaw clenched, but he didn't answer. Nolan whispered, drama queen, under his breath. I stormed off again, the walls of the house pressing in on me. My room didn't feel like mine anymore. The pictures on the wall, the sheets on the bed, they felt like props in someone else's play. I sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at the bare shelf where my red car once sat. The silence rang louder than their laughter. Mom came in quietly, closing the door behind her. Andrew, I didn't look at her. Don't. Just don't. She stepped closer, her voice breaking. I'm trying to keep this family together. Family? I turned to her, finally meeting her eyes. Whose family? His. Nolan's. Because it sure doesn't feel like mine anymore. Her lips trembled, but no words came. She left the room, closing the door softly behind her. I buried my face in my hands, my heart pounding in my chest. Every laugh, every insult, every silence replayed in my head. I was a stranger in my own house. The attic smelled like dust and old wood. I pushed aside boxes until my hands landed on a showbox wedged behind a trunk. My heart pounded as I pulled it out. Inside, beneath a layer of yellowed paper, was a photo. Me, 5 years old, sitting on the driveway, the red remote control car. In my lap, my dad's arm was wrapped around me, his grin wide, his laugh almost audible in the silence of that dusty room. My chest tightened. Dad, I whispered, tracing his face with my finger. Andrew, Mom's voice floated up the attic stairs. What are you doing up there? Nothing. I called back quickly, tucking the photo close to me. She climbed a few steps, stopping when she saw me clutching the showbox. What did you find? I held up the photo, my eyes burning. Do you even remember this? The day he gave me the car? Her lips parted, but no words came. She sat down on the step, lowering her gaze. I remember, you let him sell it. My voice cracked. You let him erase Dad. Her hand trembled on the railing. It wasn't like that. Henry thought, I cut in, anger bubbling up. It's always what Henry thinks. What about what Dad meant to me? What about what this meant? I shook the photo. Tears filled her eyes. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. My throat tightened. Every time you stay quiet, every time you look away, you're letting him erase pieces of Dad, piece by piece, until nothing's left. For a long moment, silence pressed between us. She finally whispered, I'm sorry, Andrew. I turned from her, clutching the photo tighter. Sorry won't bring him back, or the car. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, the photo resting on my chest. My mind replayed the sound of Dad's laugh, the way his hand had guided mine on the remote control. I could almost hear him again. In the darkness, I whispered, I miss you. My eyelids grew heavy, and when I drifted into sleep, I found myself back on the driveway. Dad crouched beside me, the red car zooming across the pavement. He looked just like the photo, alive, smiling, strong. Don't let them take this from you, he said, his voice steady. I reached for him. They already did. They took everything. No, he shook his head, eyes sharp. They took plastic. They took metal, but they can't touch what we had. That's yours, forever. Tears stung my dream self's cheeks. I feel like I'm losing you. You won't, he promised. Not as long as you fight to remember. You're stronger than you think, Andrew. Don't give up. I woke with a gasp, my pillow damp from tears. The attic's photo still lay on my chest. I clutched it like a lifeline, my father's words echoing in my head. For the first time since Henry came into our lives, the rage inside me didn't feel like it was tearing me apart. It felt like fuel. I sat up, whispering into the dim light of my room. You're right, Dad. They can't erase you. Not for me. The fire in my chest burned hotter. I wasn't powerless anymore. Maybe they could sell my toys, mock me at dinner, call me weak, but they would never destroy the bond I had with him. And if they thought I would stay silent, they were wrong. I looked at the photo one last time before placing it on my nightstand. My father's smile stared back at me, not just as a memory, but as a reminder. That night, I swore to myself, I won't let them break me. I'll carry him with me, always. And for the first time in weeks, I felt strong. I sat at my desk, pencil moving fast across the page. My sketchbook was the only place where I could breathe, the only place left that still felt mine. I didn't hear Nolan come in until his laugh sliced through the silence. What's this? He asked, snatching the book from my hands. Give it back, Nolan, I snapped, standing up. He flipped through the pages, smirking. Wow, trees, faces, scribbles. This is garbage. Who'd ever care about this? My chest tightened. I care. That's mine. He laughed louder, ripping a page straight down the middle. Then you must be pathetic. Stop. I lunged forward, grabbing the sketchbook, but he yanked harder. Another page tore. Rage exploded inside me. Before I could think, I shoved him hard. He stumbled backward, hitting the dresser with a loud thud. What the hell is going on? Henry's voice thundered as he stormed into my room. His eyes locked on Nolan, clutching the broken sketchbook, and then on me with my fists clenched. He pushed me. Nolan cried, pointing at me like a victim. Henry's face twisted. You laid hands on him. He destroyed my sketchbook. I shouted, my voice shaking. It was mine, the only thing I enough. Henry barked. I don't care about your little drawings. You do not put your hands on my son. I froze, breathing hard. He ripped apart the only thing I had left, and you think that excuses violence. Henry cut me off, stepping closer. You've been nothing but trouble since day one. Henry, please. Mom's voice came from the hallway. She rushed in, her eyes darting between us. Calm down, calm down, Henry snapped, pointing at me. Your son is dangerous. He just attacked Nolan. That's not what happened, I yelled. He broke my sketchbook, Mom. He called it garbage. Henry raised his voice over mine. From now on, Nolan is the priority in this house. Do you hear me? The words hit me like a punch. My stomach dropped. The priority? Yes. His tone was final. You've done nothing but whine and sulk while Nolan actually does something useful. He deserves my support. You don't? I looked at Mom, desperate. You're just going to let him say that? Her lips trembled. Andrew, her silence was worse than Henry's shouting. Nolan smirked behind her, holding the torn sketchbook like a trophy. Guess you heard him. I'm the priority. I felt my knees weaken. My sketchbook pages of my feelings, my memories lay ripped on the floor. My stepbrother laughed, my stepfather glared, and my mother couldn't speak. My throat burned as words slipped out, barely a whisper. You've taken everything from me. Henry folded his arms. I've taken nothing. You just refuse to grow up. Maybe this will finally teach you. I clenched my fists, my body trembling. No, it just taught me I'll never matter here. Watch your tone, Henry warned, but I couldn't stop now. The pain, the anger, the betrayal, it all poured out. You sold my toys. You let him humiliate me. And now you rip away the only thing I had left. You don't want me here. You never did. Henry's eyes narrowed. If you can't handle this family, that's your problem. Nolan will always come first. I looked at Mom again, hoping, begging for her to step in. Mom, her voice cracked, but she still whispered, Andrew, please, just let it go. Let it go. That was her answer. My heart shattered. I felt like I was breaking apart, piece by piece, just like the pages of my sketchbook scattered across the floor. I turned back to Henry, my voice low but firm. If this is what family means to you, then I'd rather have none, he sneered. Careful what you wish for. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My chest felt hollow, but in that emptiness, something else stirred a sharp clarity. I bent down, picked up the torn remains of my sketchbook, and held them close. The paper was crumpled, jagged, ruined, just like me. Nolan laughed. Again, you really care that much about trash? I looked him in the eye. At least I create something. All you do is destroy. For once, he didn't laugh. I walked past them all, my mom's hand reaching for me, but stopping short. I didn't look back. In my room, I sat on the edge of my bed, the broken pages spread across my lap. My hands shook as I tried to piece them back together, but they didn't fit anymore. They never would, and neither did I whispered to myself, the words cutting deeper than any shout could. If I stay here, I'll lose myself completely. For the first time, I knew it was true. Why are you always buried in those books? Nolan asked one evening, leaning against my doorframe with his usual smirk. I didn't look up, because I actually want to do something with my life. He snorted. What? Become the world's greatest nerd? You'll never beat this. He waved the iPad in my face, screen glowing. This is the future. You're stuck in the past. I shut my notebook calmly. Maybe, but at least I'm working for mine. Working, he laughed. You mean those pathetic repairs you do for old neighbors? Fixing radios and junk? You think anyone cares? They pay me, I said, slipping the notebook into my backpack. That's more than you can say. His grin faltered for a moment before he barked another laugh. Keep dreaming. No one's impressed. I didn't answer. Silence was my armor now. A tea dinner. Henry jabbed his fork in my direction. Look at Nolan, learning so fast on that iPad. He's going places. Not like some people who waste time on useless scrap. Mom's eyes flicked to me nervously, but she stayed quiet. I set my spoon down. I'm not wasting time. Henry chuckled. Really? Reading dusty books and fiddling with broken toys? That's your grand plan. It's not broken to me, I said softly. What was that? I met his stare. I said I'm learning. That matters. Henry smirked, turning to Nolan. You hear that? He thinks fixing radios is equal to mastering technology. Nolan grinned. Guess I'll be the successful one while he digs through trash. I bit down on my tongue. My silence was sharp enough to slice through their words. Later that week, Mrs. Carter from next door knocked on our door, holding a busted old cassette player. Andrew, dear, could you take a look at this? It stopped working ages ago. I nodded, taking it carefully. I'll try my best. Henry raised an eyebrow from the couch. You're turning the house into a junkyard now? Mrs. Carter smiled sweetly. At least he's helping people. That's more than I can say for most kids. I hid my grin as Henry's face stiffened. Back in my room, I worked quietly, soldering wires and replacing fuses. Nolan peeked in, wrinkling his nose. That looks disgusting. Why waste your time? Because it's mine, I murmured. He rolled his eyes. No one cares about your little projects. But when the cassette player crackled back to life, I couldn't help smiling. Mrs. Carter returned the next day with cookies. You fixed it? Oh, Andrew, thank you. Brings back memories of my husband. Her eyes glistened, and I felt something warm in my chest. I'm glad it means something to you. Nolan snickered from the hallway. Wow, you're the neighborhood handyman now. What's next? Fixing typewriters for pocket change? I met his gaze steadily. If it helps someone, yes. He blinked, then scoffed and walked off. Each time I fixed something, a toaster, a fan, an old lamp, I stacked the few bills I earned in a small box under my bed. My silence grew heavier, but it carried purpose. One night Henry noticed the box when he barged into my room without knocking. What's this? Secret stash? I pushed it back. It's mine. He lifted an eyebrow. And where'd you get it? People pay me for repairs. He laughed. People actually give you money for that garbage. Pathetic. It's honest, I said, my voice low. Honest doesn't make you a man, Henry sneered. Money does. Real money. I didn't argue. I just closed the lid and slipped it under my bed. Mom came in later, her voice soft. Andrew, maybe just go along with Henry. It keeps the peace. I shook my head. I can't. If I give up this, I'll lose everything. Her shoulders sagged, and she whispered, I'm sorry. Her apology stung more than Henry's words. A T-school. Nolan waved the iPad around. Look at this app. I'm coding already. Teachers clapped him on the back, impressed. When I raised my hand to explain how I repaired a motor, the teacher barely nodded. That's nice, Andrew, but Nolan's project is more innovative. I sat down, heat rising in my cheeks. Nolan leaned over, whispering, told you. Trash. I clenched my fists but stayed silent. My silence wasn't weakness anymore, it was a shield. That night, as I lay in bed, I whispered to myself, one day, they'll see. I don't need their approval. I'll build my own future. The torn pieces of my sketchbook still sat in my drawer, jagged edges cutting into my memory. I touched them gently, reminding myself of the betrayal that fueled me. Every laugh, every insult, every dismissal, I stored them like matches, waiting for the day I'd strike them all. I didn't fight back with fists. I didn't scream anymore. My revenge was slower, quieter, sharper. I was building myself piece by piece, and when I was done, they'd never break me again. I was tightening the screws on an old clock when Nolan's shriek echoed through the house. Dad, it's not turning on. It's dead. I heard Henry's heavy steps thundering down the hallway. What are you whining about now? Nolan's voice cracked. The iPad, it won't start. I didn't do anything, I swear. I set the screwdriver down and waited. Henry growled, give it here. There was silence for a beat, then Henry's frustrated sigh. Nothing. Screen's black. Nolan sniffled. Fix it. Do I look like a repairman? Henry snapped. I leaned against my doorway as Nolan's wails grew louder. Dad, I need it. I can't live without it. Henry barked. Stop crying. You sound pathetic. Nolan's voice shook. But everyone at school, my games, my apps, they're all gone. Henry muttered something under his breath before shouting, Anna, get in here. Mom hurried in, her voice trembling. What happened? Henry jabbed the iPad toward her. His precious toy's broken. He expects me to pull money out of thin air for another one. Mom clutched her hands together. Henry, we can't afford a new one right now. Then use your savings, he snapped. Her breath caught. That money's for bills, for food. Henry's tone grew sharper. Bills, food, the boy needs his education. You'd rather starve him of opportunity. Nolan whined. Mom, please, you always help me. Please, she whispered. Nolan, we can't. He cut her off, his face red. You don't care about me. Henry's fist slammed the table. Enough. Anna, do it. Take the money out. Her silence was deafening. I finally stepped closer. It won't help. Henry turned, eyes narrowing. What did you say? The iPad. Buying a new one won't fix anything, I said evenly. Nolan glared at me. Shut up. You're just jealous mine was better than your junk. Henry sneered. Don't act wise now. You're still wasting your time on scrap metal. I met his eyes, calm for once. Maybe, but at least my scrap still works. His jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. For days, the house became unbearable. Nolan sulked in corners, muttering, Why me? Every hour. Henry shouted at Mom, accusing her of holding the family back. One evening, I overheard Henry growl, Do you understand what people will say if Nolan falls behind? What kind of father looks useless? Mom's voice broke. What kind of husband empties the house for pride? The silence after that fight was heavier than anything I'd ever heard. Meanwhile, my days outside grew brighter. Mrs. Carter stopped me on the sidewalk. Andrew, dear, could you look at my blender? You're such a lifesaver. Mr. Thompson added, Kids got magic hands. Fixed my radio last week. Even kids at school whispered, Hey, Andrew, can you check my headphones? Nolan overheard once and spat. Don't ask him. He's just pretending to be smart. But his voice cracked, and the others ignored him. That night, Nolan burst into my room, his face blotchy. You think you're so special, don't you? I set down the lamp I was rewiring. No, I just do what I can. He pointed a shaking finger at me. You ruined everything. Dad's mad. Mom's useless, and it's all your fault. I looked him in the eye. No, Nolan, your iPad broke. That's no one's fault but the battery inside it. His lips quivered. Shut up. You don't understand. Without it, I'm nothing. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Then maybe that's the problem. He froze, eyes wide, before storming out and slamming the door. I sat there, heart pounding, but strangely lighter. The cracks widened day by day. Henry shouted louder. Nolan cried harder, and Mom's voice grew smaller. But me, for the first time, I felt untouchable. At tea dinner, Henry jabbed his fork at me again. Don't think this makes you better. One iPad doesn't change the world. I sipped my water calmly. You're right, it doesn't. But knowing how to fix things does. Mom glanced at me quickly, almost like a spark of pride flickered in her eyes before she looked away. Henry grunted and focused on his plate, his anger tasting like defeat. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Nolan's sobs echoed faintly down the hall, Henry's curses mixed with Mom's silence. But none of it cut me anymore. I whispered to myself, This house doesn't define me. Their cracks aren't mine. For the first time, Henry's words didn't sting. For the first time, I realized I was stronger than their world. The mailman knocked on the door, holding a small brown box. Package for Andrew, he said. I frowned. For me, he nodded. Signed delivery. Important. I scribbled my name and carried the box inside. Nolan sneered from the couch. What did you buy, loser? Junk parts. Again? I ignored him and slipped into my room, shutting the door. The cardboard was old, the tape yellowing. My name was written carefully in neat black ink. I whispered, who even knows me enough to send something? With trembling fingers, I peeled back the tape. Inside was a note on folded paper. My heart skipped when I read the words for Andrew. From your father's oldest friend. He wanted you to have this. I swallowed hard and pulled out what lay beneath. A brand new red remote control car. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor, clutching it against my chest. Dad. Tears blurred my vision as memories hit me. His laugh, his warm hands guiding mine, the way he cheered when the old one sped across the floor. A knock at my door broke the silence. What are you crying about now? Nolan's voice. I quickly wiped my face. Nothing. Go away. The door creaked open anyway. He eyed the car and smirked. Seriously? Another toy? You're pathetic. I hugged it tighter. Don't touch it. He laughed. What's the big deal? It's just plastic. My voice cracked. It's not plastic. It's my dad. For once, Nolan didn't have a comeback. He shifted awkwardly. Whatever. Keep your junk. He left, slamming the door. I stared at the car, whispering, he didn't forget me. Not even at the end. Later that evening, Mom peeked in. Andrew, you've been quiet. I showed her the note with shaking hands. It came today, from Dad's friend. Her eyes softened instantly. She sat beside me, touching the car gently. Your father, he must have arranged this before. Her voice trailed off, heavy with unspoken pain. I whispered, it feels like he's here again. She smiled faintly. He loved you so much. Don't ever doubt that. Then why does it feel like Henry's been erasing him piece by piece? I asked. Her lips trembled. Because I let it happen. I thought silence would protect us. I was wrong. I looked at her, surprised at the honesty in her eyes. She whispered, but this car, it's yours. No one will take this from you. The words wrapped around me like armor. Later, Henry stormed into the room. What's this I hear about another toy? I stood, gripping the car. It's mine, from my dad. You can't touch it. His eyes narrowed. Everything in this house goes through me. I met his glare without flinching. Not this. Not ever. He took a step closer, but Mom's voice cut in from the doorway. Henry, leave him. He spun toward her. Excuse me? Her tone shook, but she didn't back down. This one thing stays his. You've taken enough. Henry sneered, muttering curses under his breath. But he finally stormed out. My chest heaved, adrenaline rushing. For the first time, I'd won something. That night, I placed the car on my desk, right where I could see it. I whispered, Dad, I'll protect this. I'll protect myself. I closed my eyes, and sleep came quickly. In my dream, Dad stood there, smiling. He crouched beside me, holding the same car. He said softly, you're stronger than you know. Don't let them break you. I choked out. I miss you. He placed a hand on my shoulder. I never left you. I'm here. I woke with tears on my cheeks, but my heart felt steady, as if he'd truly spoken. The next morning, no one spotted the car again, still clinging to that thing. I smirked. Yeah, and you can't do anything about it. He scowled, muttering, you think you're so special, and stomped away. Henry barely looked at me during breakfast. Mom caught my eye once, a quiet reassurance passing between us. As I left for school, I whispered to the car on my desk, you're not just a toy, you're proof he loved me. And that's something they can never take. For the first time in a long time, I felt whole. Dinner started the same as always, Nolan talking too loudly, Henry nodding along, Mom pushing food around her plate. Nolan smirked, waving his fork. Guess who got the highest score in math today? Me. Again. Teacher even said I'm gifted. Henry chuckled. Of course you are. You're proving what real effort looks like. Not like some people who waste time with junk. I clenched my fist under the table, Nolan leaned closer. Maybe Andrew should take notes from me. Oh wait, he's too busy fixing radios no one cares about. Henry laughed harder. Exactly. Useless hobbies won't put food on the table. My heart pounded. I heard my father's voice in my head, telling me to be strong. I placed my fork down quietly. Enough. The table fell silent. Henry's brow furrowed. What did you say? I stood, chair scraping the floor. My voice shook but didn't break. I said enough. Nolan snorted. What's your problem? Can't handle the truth? I looked straight at Henry. You've been trying to erase my dad from this house since the day you walked in. Henry's jaw tightened. Watch your tone, boy. I didn't flinch. No, you watch me. You sold my childhood piece by piece, pretending it meant nothing, but it meant everything. Mom gasped, tears already spilling. Andrew, please. I shook my head. No, Mom, he needs to hear this. I'm done staying quiet. Henry slammed his hand on the table. You don't talk to me like that. I am the man of this house. I stepped forward, heat burning in my chest. You're not my father. You never will be. Nolan's smirk faded. Whoa, chill. I cut him off. You think bragging makes you better? All I hear is noise. You don't even realize how hollow it sounds. Henry's face turned red. Ungrateful brat. After everything I've done for this family, I raised my voice over his. Everything you've done was for yourself. You bought Nolan toys and gadgets, not love. You tore apart memories that weren't yours to touch. Mom sobbed into her hands. Please, stop fighting. I glanced at her, my heart aching, but I pressed on. I can't stop, Mom, not this time. Henry growled. Sit down before you regret this. I shook my head. My voice rose, steady and fierce. You can break my things, mock my work, even call me worthless, but you'll never break me. You sold my childhood, Henry, but you'll never sell my spirit. The words echoed in the silence that followed. Nolan shifted uncomfortably, muttering, he's serious. Henry stood, towering over me. For a moment, I thought he'd hit me, but I didn't move. I stared right into his eyes. Try me, I whispered, his fist clenched, then loosened. He looked away, muttering curses under his breath. Mom finally lifted her tear-streaked face. Andrew, I turned to her, my voice softer. I'm sorry, Mom, but I can't keep pretending anymore. She nodded slowly, as if she understood. I pushed back from the table. I'm done with this dinner. Henry shouted after me. Walk away, then. Prove you can't handle a man's world. I paused at the doorway, gripping the frame, then turned back. I'm not walking away from strength. I'm walking toward it. Nolan sat frozen, Henry seething, Mom trembling. And for once, I wasn't the silent one. I left the table, chest heavy but free. Every step felt like victory. Upstairs, I shut my door, leaning against it. My hands shook, but a smile broke through. For the first time, I had spoken not just with words, but with every wound, every scar, every memory my father left me. And I knew they had heard me. The key clicked in the lock, and for the first time in my life, the door that opened belonged to me. I whispered to myself, my apartment, my place. Behind me, my mom's voice trembled. Andrew, it's beautiful. You really did this on your own. I smiled, stepping inside. Every inch of it. No Henry, no Nolan, just me. She touched the door frame gently. I'm sorry it took me so long to see things clearly. I turned, meeting her eyes. You left him. That's what matters. Her shoulders dropped as though she'd been holding her breath for years. I couldn't take it anymore, the shouting, the favoritism, the lies. One day I just looked at Nolan and Henry and realized I didn't recognize my own life. I placed the keys on the counter. You stayed quiet for so long. Tears welled in her eyes. I thought silence would keep the peace. I was wrong. It only broke you. I shook my head. No, it hurt, but it also made me stronger. I had to become someone they couldn't control. She gave a small, sad laugh. stronger than I ever was. I pulled open a small box from my bag. Not stronger, just different. Her eyes widened when she saw the red remote control car. I set it carefully on the shelf. She covered her mouth. That's my father's, I said softly. The one piece they couldn't take from me. The room grew quiet, sunlight spilling across the floor like gold. I whispered, almost to myself, I won. Mom stepped closer. You really did, Andrew. I looked at her. Do you ever think about them now? Henry, Nolan, her expression hardened. Henry is still the same bitter man. Nolan's grown into him selfish, careless. They never changed. I nodded. I figured. They stayed behind. I moved forward. She touched my arm gently. I wish I had given you more when you were younger. I wish I had defended you. I placed my hand over hers. You don't need to wish. You left him. That's enough for me. Her tears finally spilled. You deserved better all along. I exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of years slip from my chest. Maybe, but sometimes pain is fuel. I studied harder because of them. I worked harder because of them. I wanted freedom so badly that nothing else mattered. She smiled faintly. And now you have it. I glanced around the apartment, bare walls, second-hand furniture, but mine. Every corner shouted proof of survival. I have it, I repeated. Mom walked toward the window, watching the setting sun paint the sky orange and pink. Your father would be proud. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I hope so. She turned back to me. No, Andrew, I know so. I laughed quietly. Do you remember Henry mocking me when I fixed that neighbor's radio? She nodded. He said no one cared about broken junk. Well, those neighbors cared. And those repairs paid for this apartment. I spread my arms. Every insult he threw at me turned into bricks for these walls. Her lips curved in a shaky smile. You build a life out of ashes. I nodded slowly. That's what happens when you stop letting other people define you. We sat together on the couch. For once, silence wasn't heavy. It was peace. After a long pause, she whispered, do you forgive me? I looked at her tired eyes, the years of regret behind them. I already did. A long time ago. Her hand squeezed mine. Thank you. I leaned back, staring at the shelf where the car rested. That toy isn't just a memory. It's proof I wasn't abandoned. Dad loved me. Even when Henry tried to erase him, he was still here. She nodded. And now, he always will be. The last rays of the sun lit the car's glossy red paint, and something in my chest finally unclenched. I stood and whispered again, stronger this time. I won. Mom smiled through her tears. Yes, you did. And for the first time in my life, I truly believed it.